So let's kick off our show. Let's get right into it. Today's show is with our sponsored segment. Welcome back, Nova Lorraine. She's the CEO of Raine Magazine.
And this segment is brought to you by Raine Magazine, a media platform for creative entrepreneurs that focuses on inspiring readers through stories about trends in fashion, culture, and technology.
And we should also note that Nova brought a special guest with her today, Jim Fosina. He's the founder and CEO of Amora Coffee. Amora is a direct-to-home subscription-based coffee delivery service that delivers a fresh bag of coffee beans straight to you. In fact, we asked Jim, where was our coffee?
Yeah,
we need your address. You have to send it to your house.
Welcome to the show, Jim, and great to have you back, Nova. Yeah, why did you invite this gentleman?
Well, you mentioned Raine is focused on storytelling, and when I heard the story behind Amora, and which started with the love story of Jim and Marina, the founders, and how they've weaved that into the brand and everything they do, from dealing with their customers and their team and their partners, as well as every product they produce, I said I had to bring them forward to share their story.
I think it's great, and thank you for bringing him. It's always great to learn more about what's happening that you don't see every day in the news, so these great nuggets and stories and companies. So Jim, statistics show the revenue in the coffee industry amounts to nearly $80 million. In 2019, the global coffee market is projected to reach nearly $102 billion by 2023. Why do you think this industry has such a high value?
It is on quite the trajectory to grow even beyond anybody's expectations right now. More people are drinking more coffee, especially premium coffee, both in-home and out of home, and we're focused on the in-home segment. So especially as we go down into our millennial and our Gen Z groups, in those populations, we're drinking more coffee.
Yeah, I'm a millennial and I cannot live without coffee, just to put it out there. And an estimated 3 billion cups of coffee are consumed every single day around the world. And millennials, not surprisingly, are major coffee drinkers like myself due to increasing purchasing power, among other reasons. Do you think millennials should slow down in the coffee intake? I mean, you probably don't, but
I don't think anybody should slow down in the coffee intake.
Right.
But what you see happening is a phenomena of how, especially millennials and now Gen Z, are moving from the fizzies and the sugars and moving over to coffee, and coffee is really becoming the base of consumption of a beverage and a drink. And so whether that's hot or whether it's cold or whether they're adding their own flavors or they're drinking it just straight up, it's really becoming a real base of their drink on a day-to-day basis, and they're drinking more of it every day.
Wow. Starbucks, Jim, has earned nearly $25 billion in revenue as of March 2019, no surprise there, not including the 9% increase year over year. What makes Amora different from companies like Starbucks? Is that considered a competitor?
So anybody who really sells coffee is a competitor, but it is a very large landscape out there with the amount of Americans that drink, and globally, people that drink coffee on a daily basis. But Starbucks is really more of a service by the cup and a service out of the home and an experience out of the home, where Amora Coffee is more about the love of coffee and what our family can bring to your family. So we're a family-owned business, and what can we bring to you in your home? And so we could actually bring you a cup of coffee for probably about 50 cents a cup instead of what you would pay outside, and it's a super premium cup of coffee.
And the savings, I'm sure, add up over time versus going to Starbucks every day. And there's a different experience, too, to have a cup of coffee as you're preparing for your day at home, as opposed to grabbing it on the go.
So not only do we want them to have all of our consumers drink coffee at home, we also want you to take coffee with you. We're very focused on the sustainability and environmental concerns. So rather than go out and buy a cup of coffee and toss your cup, we're asking you to prepare your coffee at home. We'll give you a free travel mug, or we'll actually give you 4 free travel mugs so that you could share with your family, again, our family to yours, and so that you could bring it away from home with you as well.
Amora.
Yeah, like I'm a quite specific coffee drinker. I drink only decaf after 2 o'clock. And in the morning, you know, I like my coffee a certain way. If I were to sign up for your subscription, what choices do I have?
So you have lots of choices. You could receive regular or decaf or both, whole bean or ground or both. a light roast, a medium roast, a dark roast, a bold roast, or you could choose from 4 to 6 different flavors. And on top of that, we have additional flavors from single origins around the world. So depending on the time of the year and the peak of the harvest, we will harvest coffee maybe from Guatemala and bring that directly to your home at the peak of freshness.
Yeah, well, please send us some.
Yeah.
And,
we will definitely send you some.
And then Nova, tell us what's going on with your magazine. I mean, we talked often enough, but what's new?
Yeah, well, we are still celebrating our spring edition with Kathleen Robertson as our cover star. And we are really excited to launch our podcast series at the end of this month, which will highlight some of the interviews we have in our spring edition. And so Lisa Linke, we have Krista Stryker, as well as Kathleen Robertson as some of the individuals that will be featured on our podcast, which is about rising creatives and entrepreneurs.
Very exciting that you even want to branch out. I mean, a lot of companies are doing that, but what made you say, I want to branch out beyond just the magazine, but extend the experience for our viewers in the form of a podcast?
Yeah, no, it's a great experience, a great question. One of the things we decided to do this year especially is to move more towards a transmedia approach, where we're telling a story through multiple mediums. And as you know, we're digesting content in so many different ways. So podcast is great for entrepreneurs and creatives that are either multitasking or always on the go in a short of time and have specific interests. So it was only natural for us to bring our content from print and digital to now audio.
Look forward to listening to that.
Yeah, in that case, I mean, I have tons of entrepreneur friends going on to different people's podcasts, and I would imagine Lindsay and I would love to be on your podcast.
Absolutely.
Why do you think every entrepreneur, every founder should listen to podcasts?
Well, it's digestible, right? So if you're driving or working, cooking, exercising, you're able to get content. And also, listening to podcasts, you feel like you're tapping into a like-minded community. And so because there are so many niches out there, and for an entrepreneur that may be in fashion or someone launching a new software company, they can find something for them, either on the business side or on the social side. And then if you just want tips on wellness or fitness, you have those there as well. One of the things about our podcast, which is unique, I think, to other entrepreneurial or creative-focused podcasts, is we really try to get to that raw essence of the story of the individual behind that brand, and to talk about points that aren't usually mentioned. So you hear about all the glory, when they reach those points of high success, but you don't necessarily hear about all the bumps along the way that they've encountered, or the individuals that have helped them and inspired them on that journey. And so it's about real moments, raw experiences, and words of wisdom that you wish you had in your early days of success.
That's what I like about listening to podcasts is you can have a real raw conversation and take a deep dive into issues. Oftentimes you don't have time to read that. You don't want to read it, but you're more prone to listen to that type of conversation.
Right, and a lot of times blogs and social media videos are just scratching the surface, and everyone's sort of living their best life. And when you have the right host for the podcast, and if they're able to have that interviewee open up, you're really able to get some nuggets of information that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk about Apple. It used to be the only company that mattered in the world of podcasting. However, that's changed. In 2015, companies like Spotify added into the podcast mix.
Yep, it was reported that Spotify has vowed to invest up to $5 million in 2019 to acquire other podcast companies such as Gimlet Media and Anchor. What do you think? How do you think this will change the podcast landscape?
Yeah, Spotify is one of many rising brands in that space, and that have recognized the importance of podcasts as a medium for people to digest content. And Apple opened the door for Google and Spotify to come in and offer innovation in that area and tools that are better serving our podcast community. And so by Spotify jumping in and investing the amount that they did really sends a message to the global community that this medium is here to stay, and it's only in its infancy. And so, but it also encourages other smaller brands as well to continue moving along that path, because competition is great. The smaller brands are going to offer customized services that the bigger brands can't.
And speaking of competition in the space, what's your marketing strategy? How are you going to break through with Raine content?
Yeah, no, a great question. I still believe word of mouth is the best form of spreading the word about any new product or brand. So through collaborations and connecting with other similar podcast communities as either a guest and or through collaborations. So those that are interested in our content are able to hear about us through other similar podcasts.
This has been so fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been great to talk to both of you, Nova and Jim. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
and
you for having
our
us.
coffee.
Yep.
We will
Our
be sending it to
producer-
you fresh from the
Yeah, our
roaster.
producer Katie knows where we live. Tell you on your way
Fantastic.
out.
All right. Well, thanks
Excellent.
again
Thank
for
you.
joining
It's
us. And we
always
look
a
forward to seeing you back again as our sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.